Okay, great. So now that we've set up everything ready in Facebook Ads Manager, we now actually want to set up your Facebook and Instagram ad. So you just need to follow this document step by step. Step 1 is we're going to first create the campaign, and this is what tells Facebook what we want. So it tells them what we want to get, whether it's we want somebody just to visit our website or whether we want somebody to actually give us their email address, and some other ones as well. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. 1.1, so we need to navigate to our business manager. So if I'm just going to show you how to do it from your personal profile, as you'll obviously be going in and out all the time, won't always have it open. So if I go to my Facebook profile, on the left hand side I've got Ads Manager. Yours might not be right up there, it might not be showing. If not, click see more and you'll find it further down in this list. But I'm going to click on Ads Manager. Now what it automatically does is it sends me to my personal ad account. So I'm going to click on this circle here that's got my profile picture, and I'm going to click on the business manager that I want to go into. Okay, so I'm now in the correct business manager, so I know I am now with the circle there, and I'm just going to select the right ad account. So I just want to go into the demo ad account. Okay, so we've navigated from our personal profile, and we've made sure that we're selecting the correct business manager. So anything that you do in here, always make sure that you're in the correct business manager and you've got the correct ad account. Now, if you only have one business manager and one ad account, it's a lot easier, but it's obviously making sure that you're not starting to do this in your personal ad account. Right. Then next, we are actually going to create a campaign. So we're now in Ads Manager, and the bit we want to get to, so here is the overview, so this is the account overview, but we want to actually go to the campaign. So you see this table on the left hand side, we want to click there, and yours will look something similar to this. Get rid of those, and then what we want to do to create a campaign is click that green button there that says create. These are the campaign's objectives. So this is what I was mentioning when we're saying this is what we want. We're telling Facebook what we want. So we want leads. So we're going to select leads and then click continue. Okay, now you can see here, so we've got campaign here, and this is the campaign name, so we're going to name it. So this might be cold traffic HVG, and then sometimes I'll put like the month and year. Okay, again, you can name it whatever you want. It's got to be something that makes sense to you, so when you look through it, it's obvious for you what it is. And then leave this empty. 99.9% of you will not need to do this, especially if you fill in the other stuff, followed all the other videos correctly. Hopefully you shouldn't need to do much here. If you do, then obviously reach out to us and we'll be able to help you out, but there will be so few that I'm not going to cover that here. But so if you are told that you have to do this, then we'll help you with that, but the vast majority of you won't, so you just want to leave this empty. Then you keep it on auction. We're going to keep the campaign objective as leads. We don't want to set a campaign spending limit. Basically what this does is it means that, say we set, $100, after $100 it will just completely turn off the campaign. And what we want to be able to do is go in and check on it and make tweaks and make changes, and not for it to suddenly stop, because if it suddenly stops when it's actually working, then it can cause us some problems. So we will leave that empty. We're going to ignore the A/B testing. The way that we do testing is much better than the A/B test. We have a lot more control. And then we're going to leave the campaign budget off. Okay, so we've created the campaign and we've named the campaign, and I'm just add this in here. Make sure we've got the correct settings. Okay, now what we want to do is step 2, is we want to create the ad set. And this is where we set our targeting so that we can reach our ideal clients. Okay, so now the ad set settings. So we need to name the ad set first. So what you can see here, so this is the campaign, this is where I am. If I click next, it's automatically sent me to here, which is now the ad set level. So I'm going to want to name the ad set level. So what I tend to name this is what the audience is. So you might end up creating the audience first and then coming up and renaming this. So I could, for now, I might just put ad set 1. Then we want to go through, I'm going to go through all of these as it shows. So we want to click website because we're going to send them to a website and ask them to put in their details there. You want to keep it as maximum number of conversions. You need to select the pixel that you have created. So let's just select that one. Then we want to choose the event. So the event is going to be lead. So this means that we want people who have put in their email address and phone number and click the button to say, yes, I want this. And we want the people who are most likely to do that. Ignore the cost per result. And this is where you set your daily budget. So ideally, in order to kind of get things moving quicker, we would suggest trying to do like a minimum of 10 euros, dollars, pounds a day. What you will then do is, once this is set live and it's published, we'll leave it a couple of days. So therefore we would have spent, maybe just over $20, £20, €20. And we can have a look at the data, see if we're on the right track or not. And if not, that's when we can make changes and tweaks and things like that. So this just means that if we can do ideally a minimum of 10, it means that we can move forward a bit quicker. And what I just want to draw your attention to here is it says we might spend up to £12.50 on some days, but we will less on others. But on average, over a week, they'll make sure that they spend no more than 70. Okay. No need to set the start date. We just want that to be automatic. So as soon as we press the button to publish, it'll go live. And don't set an end date either. So we leave that open. Again, it's because we come in here and we want it, if it's working well, we want it to run basically until we decide that we know when it's no longer working, we want to turn it off. So we don't want anything that gets in the way by setting like an end date. And now we need to create the audience. Let's just check. Yep, so we've selected the pixel, we've selected lead, and we've set the budget. Now it's on to create audience targeting. So we're now onto the audience section. Okay, so here, this is where we select all of our targeting and we try and figure out how to put our ad in front of our ideal clients. And what you first want to do is set the location. So currently, because I'm in the UK, it's automatically gone to the UK, but I could X that out and I could say I only want to target London, for example. So I can then do London, England, and you can see that it's got a 40-kilometre radius from the centre of London. So I might say, actually, I don't want it that big because it's making the audience too big, and I can reduce this down if I want to and just do more actually in London. Or I could just say, well, actually I want to target the United States instead, and I can target the whole of the United States. You can target multiple locations, so I could say I want to do London and I want to do Manchester, and then I've got both of those, so the Greater Manchester area and then London and the kind of wider area. So I could set that. What I'd recommend at the beginning is target the whole country until we've got to the interest part. So for now, I'm going to put in the UK. And I'm going to scroll down. And then here we've got the age range. So again, it depends who you're targeting, what age ranges you want. So for example, if you're working with women over 40 on how to lose weight, for example, then you'll obviously want to change this age range, and you might want to start from 40 to 65 plus. If you're targeting parents of toddlers, then we're probably going to want to bring this back down and maybe have this at kind of mid-20s, and again bring that down to kind of mid-40s potentially. Again, you'll know your ideal client better than me, but that's just an example. I wouldn't go too low on this. The reason being is you've got to remember the cost of your program, and therefore is an 18-year-old going to be able to afford it? Probably not. There's going to be some instances where you are going to be targeting the parents. So even with teenagers and stuff, you might well be targeting the parents rather than the teenagers, and it's really difficult for you to target younger age groups anyway. So I tend to not drop too far down on there. If you're obviously targeting university age kids, then you might need to go slightly lower, but again, just thinking about who might have the disposable income, what sort of age range. So if I just target weight loss for now as an there we go, 40. I'm going to go women over 40. And all genders. No, I'm going to specifically target women. For a lot of you, it might be both genders. You don't have to narrow down unless you're very, very specific that you only work with women or you only work with men. Otherwise, I tend to try and keep it open. If you're targeting parents, then you could just target, do some targeting to mothers, see what results you get, and then do another one that targets fathers and see what results you get. But again, you're probably best to start off with doing both and saying kind of parents of toddlers, rather than mothers or fathers, etc. So with my weight loss example, we're going to go for women, and we're doing over 40. And as you can see, as I'm changing these, this number here is going down, so this estimated audience size. So this number here at the moment, we ideally want between 750,000 and 1.2 million as a guideline. This will change as we see things change within Facebook and within the reactions to ads. So but at the moment, this is the ideal size. If you see on this video that my screen is saying, and I'm talking about 750,000 and 1.2 million, but the document that you've downloaded is actually saying something different, then follow along with the document because we would have updated that. But for now, that's the area I'm aiming for. So as you can see, I'm a bit high at the moment, so I want to narrow this down via some interest. So this is where you can get a bit more detailed. And this is where we need to really think about our ideal client and what their interests may be. Some things it might be obvious. So if you're targeting small business owners, there is small businesses as a job title. There's small business owners as behaviors. So there's a lot more options. Weight loss, not so much. So they've taken a lot out. But as examples, let's just see what they've got at the moment. So for example, if I put in Weight Watchers, I don't believe it's available anymore. No, but that's fine. We might say, well, actually, if do women over 40, are they the sort of people that tend to enjoy watching Loose Women, for example? So let's have a look at the TV shows Loose Women. So there's an interest where I can use Loose Women. People in America probably don't know, or outside the UK probably don't understand what I'm talking about, but it's a talk show basically called Loose Women. So that's brought it down more. But we might say, well, that's still potentially a bit high, so we're going to do some more stuff. So that's on the placements, let's move this down to manual placements, and that will change it slightly as well. So let me just quickly jump ahead a step. We want to, so placements, go to manual placements, and then if I just show you here, so like I say, we're jumping ahead a bit. We want Facebook, Instagram feed, stories and reels. So we don't want audience network, don't want messenger. If I scroll down, so feeds, I want Facebook and Instagram feed, I don't want any of these. Stories and reels, we want Instagram stories, Facebook stories and reels. We don't want in-stream and we don't want search results. And that should be good. And you can see that this has come down slightly. So sorry, I just jumped ahead there. So I might then say, well, this is still too high, so I might need to narrow it by something else. So I might have to go define further. So define further means that I'm now going to add an interest in that they have to have liked Loose Women and this. So it might be, just trying to think of a popular magazine or something like that that they might read, or any blogs they might read, or for example, they might have come across like Joe Wicks, who's like a fitness guy. He's not available on there anymore by the looks of it. They might have tried Couch to 5K. Oh, helps if I spell it right. No. There's also, what I can also do is here, you can see we've got a suggestions button. So I can go suggestions and I'm like, okay, so these are obviously other TV programs, but I might go, oh, actually, yeah, they're more likely to be fans of Coronation Street, for example. There's other ones, so if more affluent areas might be more likely to like Waitrose, as an example, for the UK. So it's a slightly more expensive supermarket. So here I could put Coronation Street. And see if that comes down much. So that comes down quite a bit, which is good. And then what I might go is actually, I'd rather look into other things that might be more specific. And if you've already worked with these people, ask them what their interests are, what books do they read, like authors and stuff like that, what TV shows they might watch, what fitness people they may have tried. So for example, I could see if Zumba is still an option. Yeah, Zumba Fitness. So just make sure. So here you've got Zumba Fitness and you've got employees. So we would then be targeting people who are Zumba instructors of some kind. So you might want Zumba dance as an interest here. So I might actually use that one instead. Let me just take this one out and you can see. Let's take out Loose Women. Okay, so there you can see I've taken out Loose Women. If I just had Zumba dance, then we're quite low on that list, but I might add a different interest. So they might do Pilates. I've tried Pilates. So again, making sure that I'm not going on job titles, I'm looking at the interests. So Pilates fitness, so I'm going to click on there. And we've jumped up a lot here. Okay, so if you're struggling with, if you've got some interests that you really like and it's still a bit too high, then this is where you might come back up here and go, I'm not going to target the whole of the UK. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and target the areas that I know are a little bit more affluent, or there's more people that have the money. So London and kind of the southeast is a good one. Cities in general are a good one. So that's works for the States as well as the UK, and obviously Europe and anywhere else. So I could put in London, and now you can see that this has come down quite a lot and we're closer to our ideal number. And I might want to go, well, I want to actually, I know some more of the southeast is actually quite affluent, for example, so I might target some more areas down here. So you might target like the county of Surrey or Kent, or we might go, I'm going to target cities. So I'm actually going to target, I'm actually going to go Manchester and see what that brings it up to. And now you can see that we're in that ballpark now. So I might say, well, I'm happy to give this a test for now. And then as obviously you get the results, then you'll be potentially tweaking and changing who you're targeting, etc. But the main thing, there is a video in resources about targeting, and I guide you through a bit more of some of the ways that you can try and dig a little deeper into your ideal client, and how you can find some of those interests that might not be obvious on here. So for example, I've gone through weight loss, which is one that you can't necessarily pick the obvious. That might really help. And like I said, the suggestions button is your friend. So as soon as you've got a couple that you go, actually, that makes sense, then click on that suggestions button and have a look around here. And you might go, oh, they might like aerobics, and you might click on that. They might prefer, let's have a look. For mine, probably not as many on there. Stretching, potentially, because they might do more kind of yoga-y type stuff. Let's just take that off now. And then, just keep adding them. But you might find more that are appropriate for yours. And it might give you, you might look at it and go, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of, something else. So aerobics and potential aerobics and like the more famous aerobics instructors and stuff like that. So that always helps. And like I say, define further also helps. If you've got some really good ones here, but this is too big, then you can define further. It's very much about trial and error in terms of like playing around with the interests you've got. What I would suggest is if you find some interests you like, is start putting them in a document somewhere and kind of typing in, Pilates, and then Zumba dance, and then some other, and we had Loose Women and Coronation Street and things like that, just putting them in a document. So when it comes to you maybe tweaking your audience, you can say, oh, actually, I didn't use Loose Women last time. That might be one that I could try this time. So this won't be like a 5 minute, 5 minutes of you kind of doing it. It will take a bit of time, and it does, like I say, take some time of like getting rid of some of these interests and adding some other ones, but you will get there. And then once you're done, what you can do is you can save this audience and name it. So I might go women 40 plus, London, Manchester, and then I might put Zumba, Pilates. I like to make it obvious again what the audience is, so when you're searching you can find it easily, and then you click save. Now before I go ahead and to the next thing, I just want you to make you aware that if you're using this saved audience when you get to the time when you're actually going to be testing and you want to use this saved audience, and you go edit, okay, if you make any changes to this, okay, so say I'm going to change this to, I'm going to go Loose Women, back to Loose Women, yeah, I want to save as new. So if I save as new, that means I can now rename it. And click save. And now I've got a different audience. So you can now see I've got two saved audiences here. If you just save it, then you've changed your existing saved audience, which if you're using it elsewhere, it will change it. So every time you make a change to a saved audience, you just want to click on save as new. You don't have to save the audience, you can just leave it as it was in there, and it will just automatically stay in there. It's not a problem, but a lot of people I know like to save the audience. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of this, and like I say, there's a video and resources that will help you, guide you through trying to find some more of those interests. we actually skipped ahead and we did placements because we wanted to see if it dropped down those numbers. So we jumped ahead, but I'll just show you again. So it's here, placements, manual, and we've made the changes here. You can see there, okay? And that's the ad set done. So now I'm going to click on, actually I've just remembered I'm going to change the name of the ad set, and I'm just going to say women 40 plus, London, Manchester, and what have we ended up doing? Loose women, I think, on this one. This was saved as, wasn't it? Loose women. Oh, so I'll call it loose women. Or if I've got multiple shows, I might just change this to TV shows. Or if it's like the different exercises, the Pilates and Zumba and stuff, we might just put exercise. So we know that what it is. So let's just put, I'll just put TV shows for now. Okay, and then once I'm happy, I'm going to click next. Okay, now you can see that we've got campaign here, we've got the ad set, and now we're at the ad level. So we scroll down here, it's now create an ad, and this is what grabs their attention and speaks to their pain. Okay, so again, we're going to start at the beginning, we're going to name the ad and just work our way through. So name the ad, so I might just say ad copy 1, image 1, or I might say like image ad copy 1, and it might be, depending on the picture, it might be women on women head in hands, for example. So it's describing the image that I'm using. So again, it makes it really easy for me to look at the data and look at the list, because at the moment you might only have one ad. As you keep testing and changing, you might end up with like 4 or 5 different ad variations because you've been testing and tweaking and optimizing. So you just need to, like I say, try and name something that you will make sense and you can kind of know exactly what it is straight away. It does help. Then what we want to do is, so under identity, we want to make sure we've selected the correct Facebook page. So if it doesn't automatically come up, make sure you click on the drop down and then search for the correct one. Then you want to select the correct Instagram account. If you don't, you should have already set up your Instagram account. If you didn't already have one, it does give you more options and it does show it to more people. There are a lot more people on Instagram now than there used to be kind of 6-7 years ago. So it is quite important to make the effort and have that Instagram account. Then we need to actually set up the ad itself. So we're going to manually upload our images and stuff. We want to make sure we select single image or video. I tend to leave some of the other stuff on. And then we want to add the media. So I'm going to click add image. Okay, and it's just going to load the images that I have in my account already. If obviously when you start it won't be there. So I'm just going to click on upload, and then I might scroll down. I might need to upload the image that I need. I don't know if I've got one that's particularly good at the moment. No. So you will have your image that you've created in order to upload. I'm just going to select one of my random pictures for now. Let's just do a nice picture of my dog. You will not have a picture of your dog, but just for ease, I'll show you. Generally, we want to try and recommend that you do the images 1 by 1, which means the ratio is kind of even, so it's a square. It fits more placements. But you can tweak things in here. So for example, let's have a look at this. So because of this image, I could actually make this 9 by 6 if I wanted to, or it's saying recommend is actually stick with the original. So most of the time I'll stick with the original and then click next. Then we've got optimize. Oh, let's get rid of that. So do we want to optimize the pictures? And I tend to have all the optimizations on. The reason being is that they tend to just enhance the images for people, and it does it based on the individual person at times as well. So if someone tends to respond to a certain brightness, then they'll make it a little bit brighter, and that kind of stuff. So I keep all the optimizations on, and then once I'm ready, I click done. Okay, now you can see that I've got the lovely picture of my dog there. Then we want to type in your ad copy. So primary text is your ad copy that you would have written when you've gone through the modules earlier. So that needs to come in here. Main ad copy goes here. Now you can see on the right hand side, it gives you a preview of what your ad will look like on, so this one will be Facebook feeds. And you can see this is where the copy goes. Say for example, yours is obviously going to be longer. Okay. And wait for it to load. Look, it will only show kind of 3 lines or a certain number of characters. Okay, so you want to make sure that what's showing here is really strong. And that's what's going to really grab their attention. That's what we call the hook. So that's going to really grab their attention and cause them to either click the see more button and read more of your ad copy, or click the learn more button and actually go to download your page, download your HVG, sorry. Then you've got your headline. Now your headline, I tend to just stick with your, whatever the name of your HVG is. Again, you are restricted with kind of characters, so it then does cut off, so you might need to play around with it. 3 reasons you can't get fit, for example. And you can see there, so that's fitted in. But if I was like, if I put that in again, you can see that it's truncated, so it's cut it off. So you, again, just want to make sure that the bit that visible is the kind of bit that gives them the is the really powerful messaging. Description, it doesn't show on a lot of placements, so I wouldn't worry too much about the description in terms of stressing about it. Again, it's more like a click to get your free guide, and then you might put the name of the guide there. Again, some of it will be truncated, but it doesn't show on an awful lot of the placements anyway, so you don't need to worry as much about that. Then we come down to the call to action. So you can have learn more, or you can have download, are going to be the most appropriate for the offer that we have at the moment. I tend to stick with learn more. If I can get finding it, yeah, I tend to stick with learn more. But yeah, like I say, you could have the download button as well, as long as it makes sense. Then we can set that. Then this is where we need to put in our opt-in page URL. So let me just make sure that I'm covering everything. We've selected that. We've done the image video. We selected that. We've added the image, turned on enhancements. We've put the ad copy in the primary text box. We've written the headline. We've written the description box, and we've selected the button. Now we need to add 3.3, add opt-in page link. So copy opt-in page link from your funnel. So we need to go over to ClickFunnels, go to our funnel, HVG funnel, and then I want to copy this link and put that in here. Okay, so let me just, so it's the opt-in page that's selected, and that's the link that I'm taking, and I'm going to pop it in the website section. Now, to make sure that we've got the right page and it's working properly, we can click the preview URL button, and we just want to make sure that that is definitely the opt-in page. That's the one we want, and it's loading nicely, which it is. We don't want to add any of those buttons because we don't want them to call. It's literally just the website. Okay, want to make sure that we've got website events is there. I mean, this should automatically be done from the settings we've done in ad set, but just make sure that that is there. And then once we're happy, so I'm just going to go back here because this is no longer needed because literally they've changed it a week ago, less than a week ago. So I'll just take that out. And then if I come back here, so now I'm done. And then if you need to come back and make more changes or want to have our feedback on the actual ad copy itself before you publish, then make sure you copy and paste the ad text into the Facebook group and tag the coaches in so they can help you with the messaging. But say, for example, I need to step away and I haven't finished, I can just click close because it's automatic. Don't hit publish, just click close, and then it's automatically just saves the draft. Okay, there are some checks. We want to go through the checklist before we publish. So I tend to keep it in drafts first. Okay, another thing, sorry, to just quickly be aware of is if you have multiple people on your ad account, say you've got somebody helping you out with some ad stuff and they've got access to your account. If you've got something in draft, they will not be able to see it, and vice versa. If they've got something in draft, they will not be able to see your draft until it's published. Okay, so let's just be aware of that. Now, if I come back down here, so now what we need to do is we want to make sure that we've got the correct tracking code on the correct pages. So when we publish the ad, we actually have the leads being tracked, basically. So this is how we can track and start to see how much it costs to get a lead in. So we need to add event code. So we want to add lead event code to the thank you page. And we want to go to settings and tracking code. So I'm going to go to the thank you page. We're going to click edit. Then I'm going to go settings, tracking code. Now you can see that I've already got the script in here. You will find this, we'll try and post this below the video so that you can just copy and paste that code. So we're just going to, so that's already in there. If it's already in there, you can leave it as is. If it's not, then make sure that you paste that code in. And we just want to check that it's firing. So we know that it's in there. I'm just going to click save to be sure. Then I'm going to click preview. Okay, now I just want to check it's firing. So we're on the booking page. I'm going to go to my Pixel Helper that you should already have. And I'm clicking on it and look, we've got lead. So we know that the lead event is firing and I've got a green tick. That means that it's firing. If you have a yellow symbol here, it means that it might not be working. So first of all, what you need to do is try opening it in incognito browser first and loading it. You can also send it to us to check, because sometimes what happens is when you've opened it so many times and you've been in and out of it, or you've got ad blockers or tracking blocked on your settings, this won't actually be a green tick, but it would be a green tick for the large majority of the people that you're targeting. So for example, if we click on it and we've got the green tick, it's all good. But also in the meantime, what you want to check is that the code is correct. So I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna do is if I go here and there's either an error in the code, let's go back to that. I'm just going to try and make an error with the copy and pasting. So 1 second. Because this is a common error that happens. Okay. It's not going to show the common error now, is it? Right, let's just see if that now doesn't fire or how it works. Let's see. So the lead isn't even shown, which means the lead event, there's no error on it, it just is not complete, the code. Right, what happens is sometimes when you get that yellow warning, it's because when you copy and paste the code, sometimes it doesn't work properly. So what you'll find is even if your code is exactly the same as what we've got and it works, but yours isn't, so you'll find that this might be purple, then what you'll need to do is literally delete it and type it in manually. And then as soon as you've got it green, we know it will work. So like I say, it's just sometimes when you copy and paste it from certain places, the code doesn't like it for some reason. So you just need to delete that section and retype it in. I'm just going to come out, click save, and make sure it's actually back working. And it's back working. So we've got that. Let's get rid of those. So we've checked the lead event is firing. I've talked through some common issues that might happen. So step 4 is now done. Now we're on to the checklist. So I'm just going to grab the checklist and we can go through that. Okay, so we have the checklist in order to avoid some of the common mistakes and issues that can happen during the setup process. There's a lot of little things that we just need to make sure that are set up properly so that when we do go live, spend money, we're actually getting the data that we want rather than data that's incomplete. So we're going to go through this checklist. So make sure you complete the whole checklist before you actually click publish on those ads, okay? And then we'll cover that in a second. So let's go through the checklist. So here's the checklist. You'll find this in the download section of this page where the video is. But first of all, we want to make sure, so campaign, the objective is set to leads. It won't be sales anymore. At times Facebook changed things, so it should just be leads. And it's not traffic is the main mistake people make. So I'm going to come back over to campaigns and I'm going to click edit. So I've come here, campaigns, I've got leads selected, nothing else. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, yep, I've done that, tick, done. We're happy. There's no start, or you haven't changed the start date, I should say, or there's no end date. The only reason you might want an end date is if you're doing ads for a live webinar, which is further down the line for most of you. So let's go back. So it's not on campaign level anymore. So we want to go to the ad set level. I'm going to move that because we've moved where the budget is. So let me just, while I remember. Okay, so let's check it's in the right order. So conversion event is lead, HVG, or complete registration. So let's go back here. So we're on the ad set level, just moved it, so we're now at ad set, and we are checking conversion event is lead, which is for your HVG or complete registration for a webinar. So we've got conversion location is website, we know that, and we've got conversion event is lead. I'm actually going to add checking that it's website as well to that document, so you'll see that on your document. And like I said, we've got lead. Then we want to check the no start or end date. So we've got the start date should be automatically set for the time that you've started creating it. So you can leave that as is, and you know end date unless it's a live webinar. We want to check the pixel number name is the same as what is showing in the Facebook pixel helper. So, so here's the pixel, and the pixel is called Demo Pixel 2. So I want to go over here, I'm going to preview this page, and I want to make sure that it's the demo pixel and what the number is. So I might have mine. What I can do is let me just delete that and I'll show you. You can see that we've got the number here, so it ends in 2142. So that's the one I'm selecting, and it ends in 2142. So I'm happy that's the correct pixel. I now need to just select lead again. Then, so I'm not marking these off, am I? I'm happy with those. mark those as green. Pixel name is right, the pixel number is correct, so I'm happy with that. The audience is set up interest based to start with the cold traffic. Yep, so let me just double check. So I'll scroll down. I've got my audience set up. Let's come back over here. Let's make this a nice green color. Keep ticking it off. Then we're at the ad level. So if I go over to the ad, so I can navigate to it by clicking on there. And I want to check copies in the primary text section. Make sure we're happy with all the spelling and grammar, as you don't want to edit it at a later date. So I would go here, check that my main copy is in here, check that I'm happy with any of the links in there are correct, and all there's no big mistakes, etc. So once you're happy with that, we're going to click the green, make that nice and green. Make sure the correct image video is uploaded. We should see it in the preview section. So you should have your nice image that you've created here. I've obviously got a picture of my lovely dog, but we're happy with that image. Yes, that's the correct one. And I'm going to select green. Make sure the correct Facebook page and Instagram account is selected. So I'm just going to need to scroll up. So do we have the correct Facebook page and the Instagram account selected? These are the ones that are going to show the ad. Yes, I'm happy. Okay, let's make that green. The URL HVG landing page or is the webinar landing page. So let's go back here. We checked this when we set it up, but we're going to check it again. Click the preview URL, make sure it's the correct opt-in page. Yep, happy. Make that green. Then we're going to look at tracking. Page view has a green tick on the landing page. So I want to leave that one open because we're going to need it. Actually, I'm going to go back here, click preview URL. I'm going to check. We've got page views, got a green tick, happy. Make that green. Then we've got the lead has a green tick on the thank you page. So let's go to the thank you page. Lead has a green tick. Again, I've gone through some common issues, so hopefully you should have this sorted already anyway, but we like to just double check before we start spending money. The lead event is shown as active in your ads manager, so that's what we want to check now. So I'm just going to come out of here. Again, it saves the draft. We don't want to publish just yet. I'm going to go all tools, go events manager. Then I'm going to go to data sources on the left hand side. I want to make sure I'm on the right pixel, and currently we have page view, but we don't have the lead firing yet. So let's just make sure. So what I'm going to do is go here, I'm going to opt in. Going to make sure the lead is firing, and then you give it a bit of time and see if it's working. So what should happen is you've got page view here, you should have lead here. If after some time it's not showing, we can test it. So we could go to test events, and then we just want to confirm that your website events are set up correctly, and we're going to enter our website URL. So I'm just going to go over to our opt-in page so I can grab that link. Grab that link, head back over to Events Manager. I'm going to paste it in there and click Open Website. Page view was processed, so we're happy with that. Yep. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the booking page link, go back to test events. I'm going to just clear the activity, and I'm just going to test another one. So I'm going to take that one off, delete that, let's paste in the thank you page. I'm just going to get rid of this because that's my opt-in code, so get rid of that. click open website, go back here, and you can see its lead is processed, which means that it's all good. So that should be all set up and all happy. So some of the times that lead might not show here is, one, make sure that you've got all events selected here. Two, it could be that if you've got ad blockers and things like that, it might not be registering that you're going to it. And yeah, so just go through that test events to make sure that you've got it. You can see that we've got the process and we've got the page view as well set up. Okay, so let's go back to Facebook ad checklist. And then once we're happy with that, we can then make that green. And then what I would do is I would come back here. So we're happy we've got the lead firing as well. Go back to all tools, ads manager. Then I can come in here and then I can just go to the ad and click publish. Okay, and that will publish it. Mine won't publish because I need to add a payment card because this is just a demo one. So if you haven't added your payment information, you need to make sure you add that first and then click next. So once you've added your payment details, then it will allow you to publish. I obviously don't want to publish it anyway, so it doesn't matter. And yeah, and that's just setting up your ads. Let's just double check I've now covered anything. So we've completed the whole checklist before we publish. So making changes after publishing. Okay, so if after a few days you've had some data, you've posted in the group, so there's a video and resources under Facebook category called Show Us Your Stats. So you want to follow that video, record us a loom with those stats that video requests, post it in the group and tag us in. And then we might say, oh, you know, we need to tweak your audience. So instead of changing the existing audience, we want to duplicate. It's important whenever you make any changes to duplicate. So I would come in here and I would then click duplicate, and that would duplicate my audience. So depending on what we're telling you to duplicate would depend where you set it. So if we're saying you need to change your audience, you would come in here and duplicate your ad set. Keep everything the same and click duplicate. Okay, now you can rename this to what you're changing it to, change your audience. Remember to click save as new if you've got a saved audience, and then you can publish. If it's actually the ad copy itself we want you to tweak to the same audience, then what we would do is you would come over to ads, and then here you would click duplicate on the ad. Keep it original campaign, show the existing, click duplicate, and then you've got a second ad that you can then make changes to. Okay, so it's super important you duplicate and not make changes in the existing thing that's running. The big reason is that you will not remember what changes you made and when. So when you're looking at the data for your ads, you want it to be very clear that, you know, for 1 week you ran it this way and these were your ad stats, and then you made a change, so you've got a duplicate one that's made then the change, and you run it for a week and these are the stats you got, and then you can directly say, oh, this new ad copy is performing much better than the first one, so I don't need to run that first one anymore. Or it could be that you make lots and lots of tweaks and changes based on feedback you get from conversations you're having with setters when you're doing your setter process, and so you make tweaks, but after, you know, a load of tests you might be like, well, actually, when I look back on my stats, what the messaging I used a month ago was actually getting me better results. So you can then easily go back to that that audience and that ad that you used a month ago. Whereas if you change the existing stuff, you probably wouldn't have a clue what it was that you were doing at the time. So it just makes everything cleaner and easier for all the data to be analysed. So that is super, super important that you remember that. If you're making changes after publishing, you want to duplicate first. Okay, so that is setting up your Facebook, Instagram ad. Any questions, any issues along the way, make sure you post in the group tag us in and we'll be happy to help.